Hello, everyone. This is Patrick at Qdabra, and I'm here with Shane Harvey, one of our wonderful customers who has agreed today to talk a little bit about how he has been able to take his forms and move them to FormsViewer. Shane, it's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your role at Key Management Group and how long you've been using the forms?
Yeah, so I am the head of a team of 10 people, and I also do all of our form development work. I've been doing developing of forms for a little over 8 years. Been working with Qdabra for over almost 5 years now, working with Q rules and then in FormsViewer. And I really like the idea of switching over to FormsViewer because when InfoPath Form Services was acting kind of messy in SharePoint, I was able to switch over to FormsViewer really quickly and easily, and it's worked great ever since.
So how much are you using it? How many users you got? How many sites? How many forms?
I have 2 forms that we're using right now, but I syndicate them over 45 sites. We have 115 different users among those 45 sites, and we normally have forms open about 600 times a month, and everything's done in Office 365.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you show us a couple of the forms?
Yeah, I would be happy to. The first form that we use is a meeting notes folder where our clients are able to go in and document interactions that they have with people. The nice thing about this form is it's one form that I developed, but because we use it across 45 different sites, it actually takes user information from each of the sites and keeps it local to their site. I've got it built so that there's a lot of different views and different things that you can fill out in here. It's a very hefty form. We use it then to submit back to different SharePoint lists or tracking tools that we use on our SharePoint site. And so each of the sections in here allows for posting back into SharePoint to have information later.
That's a beautiful form. I see you're using our vertical tab sample from, I think we've done that before a long time ago, and that looks really good too. Hey, how do you syndicate it across those sites? What's the technique?
So what I do is everybody who uses our SharePoint sites has their own login information, and we have they're all set up on their own subsites. And the form that I've used is actually posted as a content type to the root site, and then based on where they open up the form from, it then recognizes what type of form it is and pulls in information about the user and about the local site and the name of the site that it's on, and then can post everything back to that local subsite. We use Q rules for a lot of the finding of the information and updating the naming of the sites and updating the URLs based on where they're open, so that I only need to develop one form and then can use different rules and Q rules and different rules in FormsViewer to be able to identify where each of those sites are and where all of the things that need to go back to SharePoint go back to the right site.
Well, that's awesome. So you're saying you couldn't do this in the out-of-box sort of InfoPath world before. You really have to have those commands to detect where the user is opening the form from, right?
Absolutely. Without the rules and Q rules and the speed of FormsViewer, I wouldn't be able to do it this way, and I would need to manage instead of 2 forms to manage, I'd need to manage 90. And every time that we bring in a new client on, I would have to redevelop 2 forms for each client that comes on.
Well, this is awesome. And this is the second form, the case prep request form, right?
Yes, it is. And here's an example of how it detects the site that it's opened from. So I opened this from a particular site, and here are the different users that are available in that site. And if I went to another site and opened it from there, this drop-down would have different names in it. And so it recognizes from each individual site where you open those things from.
Oh, very cool.
I've got some additional, like, these are all repeating fields that I can add multiples in, and using insert and delete commands, it's very responsive and very quick to add multiple things in here.
That's great. If you were to summarize, I think the key value proposition for Key Management Group and what FormsViewer has helped you with, can you quickly tell people how much it cost in terms of time and money to you, and kind of what your value proposition was?
Yeah, so it really didn't cost us anything to move the forms over. I had realized kind of as we were moving over to FormsViewer that I had done some bad things with my schema in the way that I had built the forms. So there was a little bit of work that I had to do to update the schema and actually make it work properly for it to be compatible with FormsViewer. But that was pretty easy once I learned what my issues were. I mean, because it doesn't really cost us anything, it's been a great cost savings. And the speed that we use, that was one of the biggest complaints that I was getting before using FormsViewer, was how slow the forms were to open, because they're really large forms. And because they're syndicated out to each site, there's a lot of postbacks and stuff like that happen every time that you update a field, and the forms just got really slow. When I switched over to FormsViewer, all of my users immediately noticed a quick update in the speed, and I got lots of thank yous and what did you do to make it work so much quicker.
Show me again how fast it is to open. I'm just kind of curious. I'm really happy to hear that, but can you just open one? Are we in the 3 to 5 second realm that we shoot for, or is it even better than that?
The meeting notes form is the bigger one, so let's see how quickly that one opens.
That's about 7, 8 seconds, it looks like. A little slow, but you've got all that content in there. And boy, once it opens, it's super fast.
Yeah, and this is where we used to really see the big issues. You notice now that I've clicked on it once, there's no delay in switching things over. So it's once the forms open and go through it a couple of times, it's really quick and really responsive. And we used to have issues even with just switching, like inserting another client. It would spin for a while, and that was it was just rough from there.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure Jimmy will be really happy to hear. So bottom line, what do you think? I mean, you're convinced, right? This is a good solution for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't know what to do if FormsViewer went away or we weren't able to use it anymore. I don't know how we would handle this moving forward, because of all the different features and all the ways that I've used FormsViewer and QRules to build and develop the forms the way that they are. With I'm using a lot of different features that we haven't even discussed that couldn't be done without FormsViewer too. So.
Well, we look forward to a very long support cycle for you, and obviously, FormsViewer is an open source platform, and at some point, we will be providing access to all of our customers as an escrow insurance option. So. For everyone listening, thank you for listening to our quick testimonial with Shane. And we'd like to just make this, emphasize that your forms have a future, and it doesn't require actually having to retool or buy something expensive. You can use your forms as is, and you can extend them. As Shane was saying, they'll be faster, you'll have more functionality, and we've added cool features like mobile support. And anyway, we're going to be doing a couple more of these testimonials, and we've got others coming up, so stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. And thank you so much, Shane, for that wonderful testimonial.
Thank you.